You know what I think, Shawn? I think it bothers you that I finally found something I'm good at.
I think you should shut up and let go of me right now.
Son, why are you acting like I did something?
I said let go of me.
Fine. All right, let's see what you got, Hunter.
No, Corey, you don't want to do this.
Yeah, I do.
Break it up. Get back to class now.
Hunter Matthews? Did you guys know you were fighting each other?
When the spawn meets world, when the spawn meets world.
What up, bros? What up, bros?
Really?
Well, I mean, we're taking it down to the trailer park this episode.
Oh,
so
we are taking it down.
You got to put on your trailer gang voice.
Okay, is that how you would approach it?
I mean, I don't run into too many trailer gangs myself per se, but that's how I intend to.
Do not quit your day job. Hello, everyone. This is Bro Meets World.
Bro Meets World.
Your Boy Meets World fan cast. Welcome to episode 63.
Flamingo Kid.
Yeah, honestly, this episode, the moment it started, I was like, oh, we are going places.
I was so excited to see that we were going to have an episode that was going to focus on Shawn and his background, his family, his history, all that shit. I love
Also,
it.
Shawn and Corey. We haven't really gotten a Corey and Shawn storyline lately. Like, a lot of it has been like the fringe of the two of them, but it hasn't really focused on their dynamic in a while.
And there was so much about class
in
this episode that I just really thought was really well done, and class and privilege. I just thought there was a lot really interesting.
Absolutely. And honestly, we'll get into it later, but can you think of, because I really tried, can you think of another show that honestly deals with class disparity in this way in a teen TV show?
I actually thought the same thing. In my note I have can you think of another show that one of the main characters lives in a trailer park?
Yeah.
And this idea that maybe your best friend isn't the one who lives in the same street as you, in the same neighborhood as you, because
Absolutely.
On television that's always seemed to be the case.
Everyone's in the same neighborhood. Everyone's from the same economic class. Everyone's parents make either the exact same amount of money, because I think about Roseanne,
yeah,
for example, where it's they are working class, but everyone's working class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you have the guest who comes in who makes money. But for the most part, television doesn't really show you friends from two different economic status, unless it's Gossip Girl, where the whole storyline is poor boy enters rich world.
Fish out of water,
yeah.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air,
absolutely,
OC, all that shit, yeah.
But to just be where it's no, we're friends, and that's the main thing. But at the exact same time, maybe your parents are on food stamps, or maybe your dad lost his job this month, and all that stuff. I only really think of Boy Meets World who's ever done that. Consistently.
Yeah, consistently. And I just think they do such a great job with showing how Shawn is why he's trying to leave this environment, or why he doesn't go back home very often, or just any of those things. What he's getting, what Corey's relationship is honestly does for his life, and how he strategically has put him in a place where he's surrounded by people who are going to encourage him to be better, versus this alternative Shawn that, had he stayed in the trailer park, he could have became part of this trailer gang.
So that's really funny, because what I saw about this episode was the reminders of how fond Shawn is of this part of himself, but then also how much he needs to isolate it in order to be involved in Corey's world.
Correct. No, I felt such an understanding with Shawn of this, and I feel like all people, from when you're going from one, I don't know, tax bracket to another or whatever, like that. I have fond memories of the way I grew up.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
I think of it as being this amazing time. But would I purposely now choose to go and live on the same blocks that I lived when I was growing up? I don't know that I would make that choice again.
Absolutely.
So I think there's this fight inside of Shawn to not want to lose his family and his past, but also recognizing that that's not the healthiest place for him.
Absolutely. And I'm just saying, like, I'm really excited to get into this episode because I'm thinking, for me, it always comes back to Chet and what Chet means.
Dude, Chet is
to
such
Shawn.
an important part of the show, and I'm so excited at the idea of him playing a bigger roles, because whenever he gets involved, Shawn just has revelations, and it's really interesting to see. Should we pause before we go any further and jump into the roll call?
Before we do that, let's do some Tell Me About It.
Oh yeah, of course. Bruh, I was ready to jump headfirst into this episode.
All right, let's do Tell Me About It.
Yeah, why don't you tell us about it?
This is Season 3, Episode 17, The Flamingo Kid.
Flamingo.
While filming a video for Shawn, Corey catches some criminals red-handed and wants to enter a TV news contest, but Shawn objects and destroys the tape. In a B storyline, a money-hungry Eric attempts to find valuable objects among his parents' old junk. Let's just do the B storyline really quickly so we can just get through it.
Do we even have any new characters in the B storyline? I don't think so, no.
In the B storyline, we don't really have any new characters, but we do have new characters in the A storyline.
Yeah, totally.
So that's why I said let's just do B storyline and just get through
That's fine. Eric cleans the house. He tries to sell some junk. He ends up making money off of one thing. It ends up being Feeney's. He gives it back to Feeney. The end. Boring, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, I will say it's consistent with Eric's character of his get-rich-quick schemes, which they've kind of shown repeatedly. And then also the whole trope of Eric doing work thinking that he is actually, like, you know, he thinks he's taking advantage of the system when in fact the system's taking advantage.
As useless as I thought Eric was in this episode, I have to say this has one of my all-time favorite Boy Meets World jokes,
which is
where Eric he's at the kitchen table and he's telling his parents about his scheme, right? And he's like, you know, Mr. Feeney got all this money for his old junk, and then I thought to myself, I said, Kyle, and that was like, Kyle, like, that's what I call myself, Kyle, what? And honestly, like, dude, that shit made me laugh so much harder than it should have when I watched it.
Absolutely the same. You're right. That's hilarious. I don't know why. Also, I will say that Eric did the right thing, because Eric technically had no responsibility to give Feeney the money back.
No.
Because he cleaned out, his agreement with his parents was that he would clean out the attic. Anything that was in there, he could sell and it would be his. The fact that Feeney came later and was like, hey, Alan and Amy, that thing that I asked you to hold on to, his parents didn't remember. That is strictly his parents' problem.
Also, I feel like this joke would have been better served had the episode started with Feeney giving Amy a box of old junk. Like, why are you throwing this in the ninth ending? Like,
yeah,
what are you doing here?
I'll give you that. I'll give you that as well.
Yeah, the B storyline was trash as far as I'm concerned.
But you could get money off of it.
This is ridiculous.
Okay. But I just wanted to acknowledge it as always. We did have fun with it, and it is fun to give Eric and kind of our supporting characters some time.
Totally.
Right.
A storyline.
Yes. So going back into this, we open up with two things that I think are really important. One, Corey and his video camera again,
which I've mentioned before is totally a thing.
You have, and again, I'm always reminded, it's like, why don't we see Corey pursue this?
Well, you know what? I actually found the answer to that question during this episode, because it occurred to me that the last time we saw Corey in his video camera was when janitor Bud got fired.
Oh, so Corey's just like, you know what? Every time I try.
Well, literally, like, in this episode, he tries to get Shawn's brother arrested. In a future episode, he's doing like this like real world thing with like the college roommates guys, and he's like overly in their business, and he's taking it too far, and so like there just seems to be this thing that every time Corey gets a camera, he excels, but he turns into an asshole, and his friends hate him.
I think turns into is one of those things that we need to discuss, because this episode had me be like, Corey is an entitled piece of shit.
Totally. 100%.
Like, this episode shows how much of an asshole Corey is.
And just how unempathetic he is to Shawn's circumstances. How he really does feel like he's like Shawn's almost a charity case.
Shawn destroys the video to his father, who we know means everything to him in order to protect, and Corey still
wanted an apology. Get out of here with that shit.
Oh my god, I honestly couldn't. But alright, so there was that, but then also we open up with a phone call to Chet. And
yes, first time we've heard his name for a while, I have to say.
It is the first time, and then also it reminds us that as far as Shawn is concerned, he's still temporary. Shawn is still waiting for his dad to return.
And still believing his bullshit that he's on Air Force One with Bill Clinton, kicking back and chilling.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because I did write down, I was like, what if Chet really was with the president? What if Chet is a secret agent? And this is what I'm saying. What if Chet is a secret agent and Chet has this cover where every time he tells us something, he's telling us the truth, but because it's Chet and it's so absurd, it's just like,
that's an
whatever,
show.
Right?
That's an interesting show.
Is that not like a crazy twist to this?
Yeah, that's wow. Okay.
I thought you might enjoy that. And then I was just like, because Chet just always has these ridiculous excuses as to why he can't do something. And I know it's supposed to be played for comedic value, but I was like, wouldn't it be nice if Chet was honestly telling us the truth? And because of who he is, we just assume it's like nonsense.
I hate to play this card, but it seems to me that based on like relationships like this and the one I saw in the movie Big Fish,
yeah,
where it's just like, you know what? Sometimes dad's lies are okay. Sometimes dad's lies are excusable because
when you're 6,
yeah, and it's just like this is a thing that I feel like it's incredibly irresponsible to just be like, no, it's okay that he's lying about being on Air Force One with the president. Like, it's not okay. Like, you could be truthful, and
which is why I think I want him to, like, in some way, be telling the truth.
What I did love was like Shawn just not wanting to get off the phone with his dad, and just seeing that like this conversation actually really meant a lot to him. It surprised me because I was like, wow, I know we're in the 90s because like they're comfortable just like chatting on the phone for a while.
But also, Shawn is what, 15, 16?
Yeah.
He's a kid. He's a kid who loves and admires his father. And every so often when we get a Shawn-centric episode, he says, like my dad always says, which shows you how much reverence he gives to Chet. And I think that something that we don't really give enough credit for, and I think you and I have identified before, is how important it is for Chet to be this charismatic character.
Totally.
Because every single time Chet is brought up, I think to myself, I love that guy.
100%.
But every single time that Chet is on screen or referred to,
you're reminded that he's a piece of shit.
Are terrible.
Also, like, and you know what? I feel like Chet gets a lot of crap, but like, Verna ain't around either, y'all.
Verna isn't around, but I think that we give Chet so much crap because he does check in, but it's like, it's clear that he is gaslighting Shawn. Yeah. Verna left, and as much as we don't like that, at least Verna is like committed to who she is. She's not constantly giving Shawn this false hope. You know what I mean?
I hate to break the news, but actually in season 4 we learned that his mom writes him a letter every day.
What?
Little spoiler! I'll put money in the jar,
damn
but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Damn it, Verna! I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. All right, but yeah, I just think that it's really important because, again, Chet being who he is. Every time we bring up Chet, I feel like I go into this monologue about how important he is to Shawn and how important it is that Chet be someone who we ourselves are constantly willing to forgive.
Totally.
Because it's like, I want
to like him.
Yeah, I want to like you.
Mm.
And it makes it that much harder when you disappoint us. And we're not your kid. So I can't imagine what it's like to actually be your kid.
Well, this episode does a fantastic job of asking the question, well, if Shawn's dad and his mom weren't around, what family does he have around?
Exactly.
And we're introduced to his family, and I have a question for you. Sean's family is a very interesting critique on the lower class, is it not?
Well, Shawn's entire family are criminals.
Now, okay, and that's what wasn't clear to me. Are we to understand that Sean's family specifically comes from a family that is very involved with crime? Or are they trying to say that people in trailer parks are the kind of people that live that lifestyle?
I think that it's one of those things where correlation is not causation. However, 90s television does like to link with if you live in a trailer park is because you haven't gotten your act together enough to live in a house.
Every person that we see presented in that trailer park is a criminal down to the child.
Yeah.
It's,
Everyone in Sean's family needs to be blacked out because
now
they
this
are
shit was
they are either in witness protection or they don't want their face revealed. And I thought that I'm with you where it's like the TV show, as much as I want to give it credit for at least acknowledging the class differences, they do say that everyone who's in this trailer park is a criminal. And kind of like the same thing happens with My Name is Earl. I don't know if you saw that show. I loved that show when it was out. But My Name is Earl, everyone in the trailer park are criminals. And it kind of says this duality of you need to be a criminal in order to survive at this level of poverty, but at the same time, you're a criminal, so it's kind of your fault.
I didn't get any of those nuances from this show specifically.
And that's what I'm saying.
And it really leaves the door open for some really not great stuff. It's interesting because I thought there was a lot of just like nuances in this. Like Uncle Mike tells a joke about their grandpa getting picked up. And Shawn says, "Oh, by the police?" And he goes, "Nope, by the tornado." And everyone laughs because they're like, yeah, you're right. There are multiple ways that someone in the trailer park would get in trouble. Ha, ha, ha. Their circumstances are so funny. Like, that's really, like, it's a comment. Like, that joke itself is like, you thought that he got picked up for this reason, but it was actually this reason, both of which are plausible due to this person's life circumstances.
Absolutely. Let's just go through a couple of the things that they say in this episode about Shawn's family. First of all, Shawn's like, it'll be like court TV, but without the court, once Corey agrees to film them.
Their family motto is,
we didn't do it.
We didn't do it.
Exactly. They have to record from an undisclosed location. You know what? So it's just
they have to chain modulate voices. They're recording in the shadows. They're having a lawyer speak on behalf of the grandmother.
Which, again, all are funny beats, but it just links that it would be different if we showed that the entire trailer park weren't the problem, but Shawn's family were the problem characters in this particular trailer park. But that's not what we do. What we say is people in trailer parks are criminals, and this is their daily lives. And I'm with you, I don't love it. But at the exact same time, we just get so little of it. I kind of still admire the fact that we have a character who comes from this world who doesn't want to be there, but also doesn't hate it. He really, really loves his family, and family means the most to him.
Yeah. I 100% agree. This whole story, the heart of it really comes down to Shawn being torn between these two worlds. I want to talk to you about the revelation of Shawn's first surprise brother.
Okay, so that would involve us doing our roll call, which we only really have one big person in this roll call, who is Maury Sterling, who plays Eddie Hunter.
Yes.
We also get the return of Uncle Mike, but we've seen Uncle Mike before. Sure. And I love Uncle Mike. He's a very fun character, but we've seen him, so I just wanted to acknowledge him for 100%. But Eddie Sterling, who turns out to be a more modern version of Griff. Again,
it seems to be, yes.
Which you would expect for Shawn to have a better relationship with Griff, if that's the case.
Well, and this also bugs me out because we later learn that Frankie the Enforcer also lives in the same trailer park, furthering the idea that everyone in the trailer park is a criminal, but also the idea that I'm sorry, that was my point I was trying to make. I was trying to show everyone in the trailer park is a criminal, but no, that you're right. He should have a better relationship with these people that he grew up around. I guess
Absolutely.
is what I was
At
gonna
least
say.
like even or some acknowledgement of. But again,
Totally.
it's like you can tell that they just kind of made this work as it happened. But let's talk about Eddie a little bit.
Eddie, I feel like, is supposed to be everything that Shawn would have became if he didn't have Corey.
I will say I was surprised when he was like, "Oh, that's my brother," because I hadn't seen this in a while, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that." I was not expecting that. I expected them to be like, "Oh, we grew up together. We're really close. This is my cousin." Even I did not expect.
This is the second episode in which Shawn has a sibling out of pure convenience for the story that we never hear of again. The first one was the sister in the
Yeah.
hair episode.
Exactly. But I think that also knowing Chet, again, it's like knowing
Yes.
what we know about Chet,
Makes
all of this
sense.
makes sense. And it's another thing that for television reasons and because of his charisma, we just pass by. But imagine this. Shawn is constantly finding out about half siblings that he has.
He has no true, like,
Tried.
home base. Yeah, he's just really just lost and floating in the wind in a lot of ways. And it's really interesting to meet members of his family and to see that he prefers Corey over them. Like, he prefers Corey over his own brother in a lot of ways. So I thought this was a great, like, microscope on a character that we all thought we knew really well.
Yes.
And then we actually learned even more about them in ways that made them more interesting.
I would argue that goes both ways because again, the way that Corey is
Yes,
an
I want to
asshole-
talk about Corey in this episode
Yeah,
because
let's go.
Corey literally does not hesitate once he sees that he captured some footage of Shawn's half brother with the stolen computer.
Yes.
He immediately is like, I'm gonna make a profit off of this. Shawn's like, hey, why don't we not involve this? You told me that this was just going to be for me as a
Yeah.
favor for me, for my dad that you know that I miss.
Mhm.
Let's not make this about you, essentially. In
Mhm.
which Corey gets flabbergasted and it's just like, I can't believe this. How dare you not make me use this however I want.
Yeah.
The reason I'm bringing this whole bullshit up is because I think that they brought up a very interesting topic of who is the owner of content.
Ooh.
The person who produces the content or the subject of the content. So, like, for a documentary, you are filming a piece of content, but that your content is my life.
Absolutely.
So who really owns that? And so I just thought that was a really interesting question in the middle of all these other interesting dilemmas of just like that relationship of
let's talk about that for a moment because I feel that unless you've signed a waiver, and specifically because this is supposed to be for personal use, I don't see them as signing a waiver for anything. I mean, and mind you, they had a lawyer there. So I feel like this was agreed to be something that they recorded as a personal gift to Chet, and any use of that footage outside of their approval could be seen as a violation of their privacy.
I'm so sorry. As you were saying that, I just thought of another time that which Corey had the camcorder where he perpetuated a rumor that him and Topanga had slept together.
Again, Corey
this guy is dangerous with the camera.
Yeah, but he also has a passion with it, which I wish that either we got an episode where Corey realizes, hey, with great power comes great responsibility.
100%.
You know what I mean? Or where Corey being like, you know what? I don't like who I am behind a camera.
Yeah, because, I mean, he physically fights Shawn over this.
He fights Shawn.
Yeah.
And again,
This is their first, like,
this is like
fight,
their
right?
first physical fight, and I love the little bit of comedy of like them fighting and Turner and Eli coming and being like, "Did you guys know you were fighting each other?" Like
Yeah.
that bit was really funny. Also, this is another part where Corey calls Shawn trailer trash.
Yeah.
And we see that there's a huge moment later on in the seasons where he does that. But it kind of shows that Shawn loves Corey. But Corey kind of does see Shawn as someone
inferior. Because he feels him as a white, middle-class, straight man feels no amount of guilt or remorse in making a profit from the sadness of his friend who is in a lower income or in a different circumstance in life.
It's the typical I want to, why can't I? And
Yes.
it's like you can't because it'll hurt me.
I don't care if it's in the rap song. You can't say it.
Exactly. But I want to. And for some reason, me telling you that the personal relationship that I have with you doing it will make me feel bad is not enough. And I think that is a whole other issue that I would love to discuss, because I feel like that is something that like you just brought up the N-word, and I think that's something that I love to bring up when it's just like when white people are like, why can't I say it? I was like, why do you want to say it? You know what that word means. You know how it makes people feel. You know the history of it. And when I tell you don't say it around me, when your reaction is, why not? It's like, I just asked you not to. What more do you need? Like, it's not like I went up to everyone and used a megaphone and said, never say it again. Usually it's a one-on-one conversation. And I said, don't say it. So why do you need me to go any further than that?
It's this feeling of entitlement. I want to, so I should. It's really interesting too how the show kind of tackles class in this interesting way, because I feel like Corey has no idea what it's like when someone in your family is into some shady shit, but you have to love them anyway. I don't know that he understands that dilemma yet. And
well,
we've
I would
never
say
been introduced.
Grandma.
Well, I mean, Grandma is just a flake, but she's not like into crime.
Well,
like,
remember, Grandma talked about possibly killing a guy and all this other stuff. But what I'm thinking is it's that age-old tale of when you're rich, you're eccentric. You know what I mean? It's just like when you have money, she's just seen as like a kooky character. But when you don't have money, it's like, oh, this is a problem. And Corey sees it differently, because all Corey sees is they're committing crimes, which, to be fair, they are. But you don't get, like, what do you get out of turning them in? You don't get anything but this story. And by the way, if that's the only story you have, then you're not a good journalist.
Also, you specifically told everyone on that tape that gave you permission to record them that this would only be seen by one person, and you're going to send that tape to the cops? What are you doing, bro?
Absolutely.
And it's really interesting. Like, I kind of wish they would have made it more about Corey just not understanding the dynamics of Shawn's life.
Yeah.
More than Shawn trying to protect Corey from getting hurt.
Well,
because there is this element of Shawn just like where Corey's being just a total dick to Shawn, like even after like fighting, and Shawn's just like, hey man, I don't want you to get hurt.
Yeah.
Which I was just like, maybe he should get his ass whooped and maybe he'll learn.
Well, no, like here's the thing. I understand that because it goes back to Shawn being the friend, Shawn being committed to Corey. And not even doing so because he needs something from Corey, but just he values his relationship with Corey so much. And Corey being, again, this self-centered, self-entitled individual who doesn't for half a second consider it from his friend's side. Again, for me, the key to this was when Shawn destroyed the tape. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this was for his dad, who, by the way, abandoned him to go across country.
I don't even think Shawn would know where to send the tape, to be honest.
Well, but what I'm going with is he recorded this for his dad, who abandoned him. So you know that neither of his parents are around. He went and asked...
you know that this family's not recording a second one.
Exactly. His family agreed to be in this video for the gift of Shawn. For Shawn to be able to give his father a gift. By the way, Shawn hasn't been able to tell his father happy birthday because his father was so preoccupied doing his own thing, living his own life. So this
Shawn's
was
life
something.
is so sad.
It's really sad and it's tragic. And Shawn asked you to help him do this thing, and you saw an opportunity. And instead of just listening to your friend or actually discussing it with him and being upset and all this other stuff, you literally fought him for it and didn't take into account that it was so important to him that you not do this, that he destroyed the one thing that started all of this. The one he's destroyed his opportunity to reach out to his father so you wouldn't expose who turns out to be his brother.
Totally.
Yeah, again, that says so much. And it's not even, to me, it's not even a concept that is like above, like an adult and like, you know, like no one can really get. I feel like any teenager would be equally selfish, but at the exact same time, the moment your friend does something like this, there would be someone who sets Corey down and be like, did you think about it from Shawn's perspective?
Sure.
For half of a second?
And I think that's the biggest takeaway from me is just that Corey really doesn't have a worldview that's able to comprehend the lives of people who haven't had the same experiences as him.
Corey doesn't learn a lesson in this episode.
No.
Shawn does.
He almost learned the lesson before Shawn came in and stopped him. Shawn flies in like fucking Batman to stop this fight. I don't know if you noticed. He literally jumps from the roof of a trailer to just come down and just be like, nah, Eddie, you're not going to kick his ass today.
I love it. Wait for it.
Yeah.
Wait for it. And now I intervene.
It's just, it was kind of funny. And I don't know. Anything else about this episode?
Well, yeah, I do think that the whole thing that Shawn says where he's like, well, a few things. One, there's the you can count on your family bit, and then you don't have to be blood to be family. The Matthews are your family.
Well, yeah, and I feel like Shawn is the one who learns the lesson in this episode of, you know, the family you choose,
Yeah,
so to speak.
Absolutely. But I think it's just sad to me that it's not.
Corey should be the one that learns the lesson.
Corey's the asshole.
Shawn has no lesson to learn. He didn't do anything wrong. All he learned was just that sometimes you got to choose your friends over your family. And I'm just like, sometimes your friends are dicks and they need to apologize.
And I mean, and it's, again, I feel like we would handle this episode of this topic with a little bit more nuance now if we were to do like a series version of this. But it's really, I just always go back to the idea that Corey doesn't get any moment where people are like, hey man, think about the consequences of your actions and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Instead, we have this idea of Shawn being like, hey, my life is better off with the Matthews than it is with the people who I'm actually blood related to. And I could have gone down this dark path, but I chose not to. And it kind of just pats Corey on the back. You know what I mean? And just like it gives him a pass for all of this. But I really would have liked it if either Shawn or Eli or someone were to, Jonathan usually is the one to be like, hey, Corey, as much as you feel entitled to this, your friend, your best friend, you were willing to throw away that decade-long friendship over a story that wasn't paid, by the way.
Yeah, I just really don't know what he hoped would come from this video, because Eli doesn't even say, like, that there's a prize or any sorts, or that you're guaranteed a scholarship or anything.
Well, he does say, if you win, you've made it.
Yeah, but it's just so vague. It's
Yeah.
just like there's not like a bag to put in Corey's eyes. Like, I just wish they would have made it more tangible for him. Otherwise, you're right, none of this seems to be motivated by anything.
The only other thing that I do have is that, to be fair,
Corey was winning the fight. I was like, I don't like, and maybe it was because Shawn was being passive and didn't want to fight Corey in the first place, but
Yeah.
Corey was winning that fight from what I saw.
Yeah, I think it was just, again, Corey promoted this fight and he walked away scot-free. To be Corey.
Yeah, I just think that I just want Alan or Amy or someone to be like, dude, this is your friendship with Shawn.
Yeah.
And it's over something that Shawn asked you not to do, and then later on you find out is his brother. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
all right. Anything else that you have for this episode?
I mean, I really enjoy learning about Shawn's family, but I think if anything, this episode makes me more excited for just Chet to come back. Like, because I think I realized that there's more story to tell with Shawn's family and with Chet and Shawn than there is with Shawn and Turner. And I think they are preparing us for Shawn to leave Turner, which is why we haven't seen a lot of bonding with them lately. I really wish it was the opposite. I really wish they would have gotten really close, and it would have been this really emotionally charged moment when Shawn leaves, where he's like, I'm really close with you, but I want to live with my dad and all this, because now I don't feel like they have any relationship.
Yeah,
So-
I agree. It's like, again, the fact that we get such limited interaction. I mean, like, we open up with Shawn over Jonathan, Shawn at Jonathan's place. But I agree that we could be spending this time really bonding and getting to be a more father-son dynamic.
And I also would just like, I'm good with one story episodes. I would much rather you just give me a strong A story than fill in a bunch of B story bullshit. Because as much as fun as Eric's like get rich scheme was, is it so different than his magazine scam or
No,
any of his
not
other
at all.
baseball?
And I agree.
scam?
I feel like again, it's a result of the 90s storytelling where we had to do 23 episodes, so we're gonna just constantly figure out a way to keep these people in contract. Whereas now with different shows and shorter seasons, I feel like we would have no problem dedicating an entire episode to just 3 characters if we needed
I would
to.
love it.
You know what I mean? All right, so
I do have a bruh moment.
what's your bruh moment?
My bruh moment is when Corey Matthews shucks and jives with Mr. Williams.
That
in
was
the
mine.
hallway.
Come on, give me some.
Give me some.
I was like, oh.
on the black hand side.
And Eli was like, "You've got to be kidding me."
It's just like, where are these kids? Because Philadelphia, I'm sure, and maybe there are parts that are just like really segregated, as is the case in
Suburbia.
suburbia. But yeah, I just thought that was just absurd. So
It is absurd, to be fair. And then also, but like also, we all know white people who are like, "Hey, I'm cool, I'm with it," and you're like, "A, I don't know why you said either of those words." And then B,
Eli has never acted like that. So
Never.
what's the joke? Oh, because that's how black people talk. Like, that's the joke.
exactly. And so it's really racially insensitive, and the fact that Eli just kind of like moves on from it says a lot about, again, how white people just have to be like, sorry, how black people just have to be like, okay, moving forward.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. That was my bro moment as well. Grade. What grade are you giving this?
You know what? I'm gonna give this episode a B+. I like that we got to flesh out Shawn's character more. I like that we didn't waste this episode on investing in characters like Larissa Olenek or her aunt or whatever, just like these side characters that don't matter. And again, just like Chet being involved in the storyline, I think always is going to lead to richer storytelling. So
I agree. Okay, I'm giving this episode just a B.
okay,
I felt like it wasn't B+ worthy. It was a great idea, but as you said, we could have done without the Eric storyline completely. Corey was an asshole, and we don't at any point in time really address that fact. With him particularly.
Are there any women with talking roles in this? Oh wait, no. Amy says, "Let Eric clean."
Yeah.
But I think that's pretty much all we get.
That's it, and that's what I'm saying. And we haven't seen Topanga in like 2 or 3 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Two at least.
She's in the next one, but yeah, no.
I'm just saying, like, I know we didn't see her last week.
No.
So yeah. So again, this was a B episode, and that's B for effort.
Sure.
It could have been handled a lot better, but overall, I love the topics that we brought up, and I love that Boy Meets World constantly does not detract from the fact that Shawn comes from a working class family,
Totally.
and his experience is different from Corey's, and I just honestly don't think we get that enough. I would love to see more storylines where, like, a friend, more than one episode is just like, "Hey man, I don't have it."
Well, I have to tell you, in my treasured upcoming season 4, there is a Thanksgiving episode between Shawn's family and Corey's family that gets very class focused, and I'm very excited to watch that with you.
Interesting. Okay. Homework. You go.
My homework is going to be, I have watched Hunchback of Notre Dame on Disney Plus.
Okay.
I showed it to my girlfriend for the first time. I feel like I may have actually recommended this movie in a podcast episode before.
I mean, live your life.
But the reason I'm watching it, I'm watching it with new eyes because my girlfriend had never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
But that movie is to me like such an interesting piece of like art, because obviously we know Disney has this really like rocky past, like we were talking about Song of the South earlier.
Yeah.
But Hunchback is just this movie that's like, fuck it, we're just gonna make an animated film for adults, and we're gonna have the main bad guy be an old white judge who is sexually fantasizing about a woman that he's prosecuting, and he is going to set the whole city on fire to burn gypsies, and just like who is a monster, who is a man. It's just really interesting topics in this Trump era that we're living in, that I think is worth diving into. But do not watch it with children, because the entire time you will feel very uncomfortable. So
okay, well, thanks for that. So my homework is, I do not think I've shared him before. If I have, please forgive me. But, you know, it's always nice to visit favorites. And I say that because he is one of my favorites. It's this YouTube comedian named Michael Henry.
Mhm.
And he does a lot of LGBT-centric comedy. But dude is hilarious. If you have any relations to the LGBTQ community, or if you know about their lifestyles or anything like that, it's very true to life. He's a great writer. He has a really big fan base as a YouTuber. But I just cannot recommend him enough, and I don't want to give
what's his name again?
It's Michael Henry.
Michael Henry. Okay.
And he is a great writer, and I just want him to be known by more people, because I feel like he deserves to be writing for people other than just YouTube.
Sure.
And his comedic timing and the just understanding that he has of both his platform and what users want, I just think it's very interesting. And I'll share a couple of his videos. But yeah, Michael Henry, I am giving a shout out to, because man, he gets it, and I really enjoy him.
Dope.
All right, so thank you guys for listening to our episode. Remember, you can find us on all the places. Remember to give us a rating. You can find me on Twitter at Extra Ceej, at XTRACEEJ2C.
You can find me at @braverme at .braver.me.
Also, you can find us on all these places. I didn't mention it earlier, at bruhmeetsworld@gmail.com, or at bruhmeetsworld on Facebook, Twitter, and all those places.
And once again, we want to encourage you guys, if you enjoy this podcast, to maybe check out our second podcast, Movie Makeover, also available on your streaming services.
Okay, remember to dream.
To try!
And do better than Corey.
Yeah, I feel like that's bare minimum.
I mean, but still, do it.
We can only hope.
All right.
Later, bros.
Later, bros.